Miracle.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
I'm live.
Hi there.
Well, we're glad that you're here.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be here. Excited.
Yes,
And nice to meet you.
yes, nice to meet you too. Welcome. Welcome to God, Sex, and Love.
God, sex, and love.
So, friends, as you all can see, I'm here with Miss Veronica Monet of the shamefreezone.com. And so, yeah, we just kind of kicked it off. No introductions and whatnot, but it's all good. It's all good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know there's a bit of a time difference. Can you tell the people where you are?
I'm in Northern California in a little town called Nevada City.
See, yeah. So, and I'm all the way in Atlanta and everything. So I know it's 7 p.m. for me, and for you, it's like 4, right?
It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I know there's a bit of a time difference. I hope that, you know what I mean?
No. I got, I think, what was I, like 60 seconds late because I was trying to figure out how my camera works.
And it's so funny because I was just kind of thinking, I was like, I mean, I know I could just wait, but I was like, well, I tried to do it on the dot, and I was like, well, just in case, I can at least hype it up for a minute. And
I am so sorry I made you worry, honey. I'm so sorry.
Hey, it's fine.
I thought I had everything all dialed in, and I went to look for the link, and I went, oh my God, where's the link? So then I had to go look for the link, and then I was like, what? This is not the right camera. And so anyway.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, because I went back to the email too, and I was like, it's just one link. I know usually I'm sending out Zooms, and it's like this long thing. And yeah, for the StreamYard, it'll literally just be a link or whatever. But
oh, it's cool how quick you're like instantaneously in there too.
Right. Well, no, yeah, you popped up, and I was like, and it was funny because I just went live, and then you popped up. I was like, oh, okay, let me just.
There she is.
Oh my God. We are. So, I mean, again, welcome to GSL. Welcome to God, Sex, and Love. I know it's our first time kind of communicating outside of emails and whatnot.
Totally.
So you need to be filled in on everything, right? Like, so yeah, you can tell us more about you and tell us about the shamefreezone.com and all the good things you have going on.
Well, since this is God, Sex, and Love, I just want to say that my mother raised me to believe. It's so funny. When I was 9 years old, I found out about sex. And I asked my mother, I said, so something I read talked about orgasms. And I'm like, what is an orgasm? And I went to my mother and I go, Mom, what are orgasms like? And she got this big smile on her face. And she goes, oh, honey, that's God's way of letting us know what's waiting for us in heaven. That was my sex education at age 9. So I have pretty much held that in my heart my whole life. Mm-hmm. And then as a certified sexologist, which I am, I've learned a lot about sex. It makes me think my mother was right.
Okay, listen, we have a sexologist on the line, so it looks like we go. Let's get some notebook. We need to
totally. Take some notes.
Sexologist on the line. All right.
So the thing is, I don't want to bore y'all with all the information that I have. So ask me some questions, Miracle.
What you mean? Sexologist all by itself does not sound boring at all, at least not to me.
Okay.
But okay, well, let's start with the shamefreezone.com.
Okay.
Because it sounds like, I don't know, it kind of sounds like God, Sex, and Love to me, because I know here we kind of like a free space. We talk about God, sex, love, and everything in between, right? In a judge-free way or judgment-free way and everything like that. And so,
yeah.
To know that you have the site shamefreezone.com, I mean, it sounds like we're on the same page, but I don't know. You tell me.
Okay. So yeah, I do make a distinction between a guilty conscience and a shame-based reality. So in my experience, shame is something that we feel about ourselves. So it's a great way to control large groups of people if you can all make them all ashamed. So and so that's like kind of how society works, is to make us feel ashamed of ourselves because we're so afraid of being excommunicated from the tribe, which really is society at this point. But in our DNA, it's kind of like, well, if I get rejected from the tribe, if they expel me, I can't survive. So shame is this way of supposedly creating order in society, right? And that's not what it does, actually, because it attacks our sense of self, and that leads to reperpetration. So people end up doing more of the things they feel ashamed of because they're kind of locked into this vicious cycle. But guilt, on the other hand, a guilty conscience is about something that you did. It's not about you personally. So you still feel redeemable. You still love yourself. You're just like, oh man, I messed up. And I want to change that. Maybe I need to make amends or make an apology or just stop doing it, right? So I think it's great to have a guilty conscience. Let it be your guide. But if you feel shame, if you're shame-based, then you probably don't have a lot of incentive to improve your life or improve yourself. And those are big distinctions to me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, like, okay, I feel like, okay, so this is about to get deep then. I already get that.
Oh, I only do deep. Sorry, Miracle.
I'm not complaining about the deep. That's cool.
Yep. I'm a deep girl.
Hey, look, we like deep. No, I'm just kidding. we keep this going. Like, we keep all these little puns going.
Totally. I have one question for you.
Okay.
It sounds like there might be a little bit of feedback on the sound, and I'm wondering if maybe I need to check. Is the sound good at your end?
It sounds good to me, but
okay.
Let me see if there's people who are listening. Those of you that are listening, if you guys can throw us up a comment on how the sound sounds to you, that would be great, and that would
totally. Because I can always unplug this microphone and go with the earbuds or something like that. Just let me know.
Oh, okay.
All
I mean,
right.
well, I mean, you can do that if you feel more comfortable. If you know.
Well, I don't have them handy. I'd have to get up. So if it's good at your end, that's all I care about. I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good to me, and I don't see any complaints.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that and so because of this difference between guilt and shame, this was your reasoning for creating this movement of yours, or like what?
Well, and it goes beyond that. So the other thing is that almost everybody has some deep, dark secret.
Mm-hmm.
And Miracle, I have to tell you, since I was a teenager, literally in college, they voted in my dorm room Grand Central Station because the kids my age, God bless them, I don't know why they thought I knew what I was doing, but they were in my room asking me for advice all the time. And it was usually advice about sex and relationships. So I'm like, what? Honey, my life was pretty messed up. It's actually pretty sad. These people were asking me for advice.
Wait a minute. What did they know that we don't know, Miss?
Well, obviously, there was something about me that made it easy for people to tell me some of their deepest, darkest secrets. And that's one of the reasons I became a relationship coach, because I was just like, I might as well, because everybody's telling me their stuff.
I totally understand.
Yeah, and I have an ability to receive somebody's secret without shaming them, without judging them, without pushing them away. So I have a lot of empathy. I really care about people. And no matter how disturbing or repulsive the thing is that they share with me, I still see God in them.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's Perhaps maybe we're talking for a reason, because I feel as if through my little experience, even with this whole situation with GSL and everything, I've done a lot of different confessing and whatnot through the podcast and the talk show and whatnot. And so one of the things about me is, even though I do feel I have compassion and everything like that, but to a certain extent, I think maybe God may be working on my empathy with people, because like I'm the type of person where it's like, I'll talk to somebody or whatever the case is, but if if it's going to be something where we got a debate or whatever like that, it's like, I'm not one of those people. I'm more of the, okay, that's fine. Believe what you want to believe, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time too, I feel like, and maybe that can come across to the point where it's like, do I care about people, or do I? It's not that I don't care, but at the same time, I'm at the point where it's like, hey, people got their choices. People can do whatever they want to do. Like, I'm not going to force nobody, for example, when it comes to Christianity or whatever the case is. I'm not going to force nobody to believe it or whatever the case is. But at the same time, too, being someone that, as the Bible says, sharing the gospel, whatever the case is, it's like you still need to have, like you said, that empathy for people to be able to do that in a way where, like, there's no shame and guilt and all of that towards the person. And showing love to that person and stuff too. So I think I'm growing in that area. I mean, I'm here like you, so perhaps I need to take some notes on that, because you say that you like empathy is one of those things that.
Well,
like,
empathy starts with myself. I have to have empathy for myself, and then I can feel it, build a bigger container for everybody else. But not always, because sometimes I'm a little short on empathy for self. I can be critical of myself, and I spend time with my clients, and I'm loving them, I'm helping them, and Spirit is flowing through me when I'm working with my clients. And then when I come out of session, I feel so much better about myself. So it's kind of self-reinforcing circle, and maybe that goes beyond what I do for a living. Maybe that also goes into our relationship with each other. I know that I come from a 12-step tradition, which is very much about being of service. And I think that when we get into service towards others, that it does help our relationship with ourselves as well, right? And obviously our spiritual path. So, yeah.
Look, the opposite of me, because maybe I see my me and my situations, and I know God has some grace and mercy on me, so it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be okay. Blah, blah, blah. Then for other people, I might be like, whatever.
You have some friction in your life, Miracle. Is that what you're telling me? A little bit of friction.
I mean, it's the funniest thing, because girl, why are we talking about me? I shouldn't even brought it up. Like, no, not necessarily. It's just I try to keep away from conflict. I think that's what it is.
Oh, conflict averse. I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like any type of conflict and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, apparently, of course, now technology is trying to act funny, and I just don't want it. If it does go out, please, by all means, just keep talking.
Okay.
Talking. This happened. This whole StreamYard thing, and then my phone, and just so many different factors. And I literally sat on here like an hour, just waiting and chilling, and listening to music and all that good stuff. Everything was fine, and then now that we're talking,
you know what I have found? I have found that whatever runs the universe, sometimes we start to talk about some really transformative, awesome stuff, and then all of a sudden there's just a bunch of static.
Girl, come on now.
You feel me? I experience this all the time.
It do, right? And again, and here's one of my, I would say one of my regulars. I call him Shade Tree. Hey, Shade Tree. Yeah, thanks for putting in. If you have any questions for this guru, she already told us she is strong in the empathy and whatnot. And,
it is the shame-free zone. Bring it on.
So while we're still going, and we're gonna fight these spiritual attacks, boom, boom, boom. It's all good.
Go away.
point. We ain't got time for that at all. But yeah, so okay. So back, we're back on the shade-free zone. Now I know that you have a whole lot of different things going on. So I know, empathy is part of it. Goodness gracious, I'm thinking about this portion of your site.
Well, let me run it through them for you.
Yeah.
So I've got the relationship IQ quiz, and then I've got the erotic empowerment zone, which is like a bunch of over 200 hours of podcasts, mostly about sex. And then there's the exquisite partnership formula, which is an online training, which is a 6-week program with email coaching from me. There's the blog, there's the YouTube channel, which is also the shame-free zone. Which one of those was you thinking about?
Oh, girl. I mean, well, you know what? Hey, let's go. Let's talk about sex. Let's do it. What you got to say about?
Let's talk about sex. And Miracle, let's start from the beginning, okay?
Okay.
Let's start from the beginning. So first of all, you got to be thinking about, what is sex? Well, sex is oftentimes reduced down to procreation, the generational life. You could kind of think about when our cells are duplicating in our bodies. They call that asexual because there's not DNA coming from outside.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you take a sperm and an egg and you put it together, that is a form of sex because it's sexual reproduction. Okay. All right. So that's the very beginning. Now, what happens is that starts to turn into a fetus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of the miracle of modern technology and science, we now know a little bit about what the fetus is doing in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
So now I don't know. You ready for this?
I'm listening.
All right.
Where you going?
Okay. There have been some little babies still inside their mama,
Mm-hmm.
caught masturbating to the point of orgasm.
What?
Oh, it's true. It's true. It's true. Now, if your listeners can actually go check this out right now and just look up Mary Roach's 10 Things You Never Knew About Orgasm. It's a TED Talk. And
Okay.
in the TED Talk, she actually brings up an ultrasound image of a little male baby masturbating in the womb. But as a sexologist, of course, I've been all over this research. There's actually some research showing a female baby masturbating in the womb.
Huh.
So if that's the case, I always challenge people. I go, those little babies that haven't even had their first breath of air, haven't even had their first sip of milk, they are just as innocent and pure as you could possibly imagine. What do you think they're thinking about? I guarantee you it's not pornography.
I would think that.
It's probably not falling in love. So here comes the thing. Not everybody's going to be on board for this, but this is where I live with God, sex, and love. Okay. That when those babies are having orgasms, they're connecting with God. That there is a way in which orgasms are actually a doorway to the divine. This is an opportunity to connect with a higher source. Now, not everybody looks at it that way. Some people kind of look at sex as just going to the bathroom or eating. And I think that's a huge loss, because I think our sex can actually be sacred. It can take us to some really high places. But I'm suggesting that a lot of us knew that before we were born, and we have forgotten.
Interesting. I'm still listening. I'm going to put the focus on you because
I know I just laid something heavy on there.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm just trying to get this device together. But girl, you just dropped the bomb right there.
I did. I totally dropped a bomb. I confess.
So what is going on? You said in the womb.
I am the womb. In the womb.
Because I'm here chit-chatting with you. You can't see me. I agree that, you're saying that, there's a divine connection in regards to sex. And so I definitely can agree with that. I mean, I believe that as well. Now, you definitely surprised me with that information about the womb.
Oh, I know. There's very, very few people, almost no doctors that even know that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So then, okay.
So what happens, Miracle, is that we're born and we're immediately shamed around sex.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good reason for that. I'm not for the shaming aspect of it, but I do understand the protectiveness because children are vulnerable and we want to protect them from predators, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So, but again, I feel that the shame it kind of works against us. We make our children more vulnerable to predators, and we also produce more predators because of the shaming. So I'm like wanting to free us from the shame so we can look at things head on and actually be safer. Yeah. There you are. I much prefer looking at your beautiful face.
Yes, I was like, over here in Jesus' name.
I love your hair. I love your hair.
Oh, thank you. Girl, I'm telling you, on my end, this thing just keeps telling me it's not charging and I just don't want it to go out on you. So I'm trying to
wow. Yeah. Gotcha.
And it's because
that's scary.
Time. Now, all of a sudden, when I got you on the line, now things are trying to happen, but it's okay.
Well, they saw me coming.
Listen.
They saw me coming and said, "Oh no, we're not going to be talking about orgasms in the womb."
I mean, warning the people about all this stuff going on. So let's talk about what you were just saying there. So you're saying that, again, by shaming and all that stuff, it produces more predators into the situation. And now, see, right when I said that, they don't want us to talk about that. Go on, talk about that while we look. Go on, talk about that.
All right. Yeah, shame causes people who do shameful things to keep doing them. They just go underground. They hide it. We can't see what they're doing. We can't find them. They're not going to confess it because they're frightened, So yeah, if we can, look at what happens like in the Catholic Church. We have all kinds of pedophiles as priests, and that's an incredibly shame-based form of religion. If there was less shame, then those people could get help. And a lot of times what's happened, statistically, we know people who perpetrate sexual abuse towards children, most of them were sexually abused, not all of them, as children too. So then it just gets passed on generation after generation. And that's the legacy of shame. What we want is accountability, right?
Yes.
So like transformative justice and restorative justice, way better models, because they're all about bringing the perpetrator back into community once they have been able to heal. But the way we have it now, we just exclude people and we cancel and we get rid of them. And where do they go? They end up having children and they end up hurting children, and we just get more of the thing we're trying to avoid.
Man, look, you already done touched on so much right there. That is deep. we still deep. It's pretty deep right there because that is definitely an issue. This whole girl, I don't know why we're getting on this, but I've had some conversations with the human trafficking survivor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in her testimony that she shared, she's basically been going through things throughout her entire life, like from when she was an infant, which is crazy to think that people are doing things to infants in this way. But yeah. So it's just terrible. And so for me, I kind of talked about this before because, I definitely, we've had several conversations here on GSL about like, molestation and different things and how, exposing children to these things can like affect them the rest of their lives
Right.
and stuff like that. And like you said, there should be some type of accountability for these things. But at the same time, too, I just feel like we should maintain some self-control. Like there should be people that maybe have urges or have these feelings towards children, whatever the case is, like, why do I mean, I know you probably don't know.
Well, I actually do.
Say, like, why?
I unfortunately was raised by a man who molested my sister and I, my father, and he was raised by a family that had a lot of incest and child molestation. And before them, there was incest and child molestation. So when I say it's a generational thing that gets passed down, I'm speaking not just from statistics, which exist, but also from my personal life. And when I hear people saying that pedophiles should just be killed, I'm like, wait, you're talking about my grandfather and my uncles and my dad. And I don't want those people killed, but I do want them to have to be accountable for their crimes. And incest is a horrible, horrible thing. When you sexually abuse a child, you have created pain in their body and their mind and their soul that they're going to be unpacking for the rest of their life. But the thing is that the people who hurt me were hurt by the people that came before them. So there's where I'm able to have some compassion and go, we have to stop the system. We have to change it. So what is wrong with the way the families are organized in at least in our family? Obviously, not all families are prey to this. But it's more of a problem than we think because about 1 in 4 girls is sexually abused and 1 in 5 boys. And people like to think this is a perpetrator at the schoolyard or something like that. And those people exist. The vast majority of sexual perpetrations take place in the home. And that's why we need transformative justice, because we're not going to want to kill those people or get rid of them. We still love them, but they have to change. And if the whole community was of the mind to call those crimes out and force responsibility, force accountability, then we could shift the culture in a direction where there'd be healing and we wouldn't have to, have this dark secret. The person who's hurt, the child who's perpetrated against, keeps the secret too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is why the enemy don't want you to talk. But I don't care if I go out. Please, by all means, keep talking about it, especially that right there.
All right, you got it. I'll keep talking.
Like you say, it's more, most of the time it's people that the child knows, it's family, it's family friends like that, and that's the secret, right? That's the thing that people hold on to and don't talk about, and then just go on through life living as if nothing happened or pretending. And then at the end of the day, we have as a society live with all the repercussions of that. You know what I mean?
We do. And my mother was molested by her grandfather, and her way of coping with that was to pretend it never happened. She forgot about it for years. So what does that mean? That sets her up to be somebody who tolerates being married to somebody who molests her children. And she's unconscious of that too. She's this really sick denial about what's actually happening. And we're going to church, reading the Bible, and this is what's happening at home.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that takes the whole thing too, because it's like, well, yeah, you preaching all today now. I don't know if you meant to or what, but I'm telling you, like, because again, the more that we try to pretend, then the more it takes the whole concept of the word of God and what that means. Because it's like, okay, well, if these people are supposed to be following God, if they're reading the Bible, if they're my representation, if they're my parents or whatever the case is, then like, what do they really believe? And the more that I've been just doing like a little Bible study or whatever every day. I'm not trying to plug my
okay, it's your show. Go ahead and plug.
Bible study journal, you know what I'm saying? but basically it got created because I over the past year have challenged myself to take out time every day to just study the Bible. And the more that I've been studying, the more I'm like asking the question, why don't we live like this? Why don't I see examples of what it's telling us to do? Like, why? It's just and I see that it's also this whole thing of like, whatever the Bible says, you're gonna hear the opposite about it. I think, I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday morning, because I go live every morning or whatever, Monday through Saturday. And I talk about different things. And so one of those days, either today or yesterday, I talked about like truth. Now, when you hear that word truth, what quotes come up in your mind, right? The first one would probably be truth hurts. The next one would probably be you can't handle the truth. Like, those are things you hear.
That's one of my favorite ones. Jared Nicholson, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, you hear it all the time. But what does the Bible say, though? The Bible say the truth will set you free, right? And then we see now, even in these days, the more, they call them truth tellers, because there's people out here that's actually, saying literally what the way things are. But then on the flip side, you got people that's trying to live in a world that isn't, I'll just say, true, or living in or have rules or whatever the case is, that it's like, okay, well, so now you're not acknowledging whatever the actual truth is. Man, I'm telling you, it's fighting against us. It's fighting against us. But in Jesus' name, this thing's gonna work. And regardless, you're gonna talk, and I'm gonna
talk. I'm gonna talk. So about truth, I used to always sign my books. That I would autograph my books. The truth is always better, and I still believe that. But I also have nuanced that a little bit since I became a relationship coach. I've been coaching couples now for 16 years. And here's the nuance for me, that I could take a couple, a husband and a wife, somebody, a couple that's living together, whatever their arrangement is.
Yeah.
They will always have a different version of the truth. And what I learned was that they weren't being dishonest. It was just that they had a different perspective. They saw different parts of the same situation. And of course, they also had different filters. So when they saw it differently. And my job as a relationship coach is really to help those couples find space in their heart and their mind and their reality for the other person's truth as well. And as couples, if you're really wanting to be in partnership, I think to be able to say, hey, maybe your truth and my truth, when they're put together, become a bigger truth than either one of us could have had by ourselves. And in that sense, partnership is like this beautiful invitation to expand our sense of what is so. And for me, that's just one of the best expressions of partnership.
That's true, because different people have different perspectives. I know they say that phrase, well, I don't personally like the phrase like your truth, my truth, like there's different types of truth. But
that's a scary thing nowadays. I know what you're saying.
That one, but I do agree with what you're saying, that there's different perspectives of like whatever that truth is. So then they say like, so I guess I don't know exactly how they say it, but basically they say it's something along the lines of like, there's this person's perspective, that person's perspective, and then there's the truth. There's like what it actually is in the middle.
And there's truth to that, Miracle. I understand what you're saying, because there are some facts. Let's talk about math, right? Math and physics. It's a truism that you're going to want to follow the science if you're building a rocket to go to the moon, and you don't get to have a different belief about that. It is what it is. You do it wrong, it's just going to blow up. So
tell them now.
In that sense, there's some hard truths. If you're doing 80 miles an hour and you run into another car, there's going to be some hurting going on here.
Come on, tell them, Miss Veronica. Tell them.
So what happens is that these couples, they know that there's certain things that are just a fact, and then they start to think that the way they feel about things is also a fact. And a lot of times they get polarized around trying to make their feelings into facts. And so I just like to remind them, look, when we're working on relationships, we're looking at the feelings. How does it feel when you say that or you do that? And how do you feel about your partner? So much more important than trying to pick out the facts in order to what? Usually to win an argument. Everybody wants to win an argument.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
My apologies again for all of this. Like I said, this is just crazy because I literally sat here an hour, just sitting here. Thing was charging, no problems.
You weren't expecting me an hour ago, were you?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just my process.
Okay, but you got it all set up. Unlike me, who hops on 60 seconds late, you were ready. You had all the technology in place, and then your poor little battery ran out.
I mean, no, it's just this whole thing. It's just my process. I come in here, I listen to music, I just be jamming, and I take photos and do all the cool stuff before.
Oh, nice. Are you an Instagram influencer?
I mean, well, I have my Instagram that I just kind of keep up, and and then I might have a friend that has a business that I might rock with their stuff, or whatever the case is. But I wouldn't say I'm a whole influencer yet. We'll see. This is just crazy. This is just crazy to me that I just really apologize that we're even wasting so much time talking about this. But it's like literally going lower and lower, and every time I plug up the thing, it's just telling me it's not plugging up. Like, it don't want us to talk about all of this that you're talking about.
I think it's true. I think that's true. This was going to go for an hour, right?
Yeah, or 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay, all right. Well, we don't have to go any longer than your little phone can handle.
Okay, well, it's to you. Like I said, I want you to feel free and everything like that. And so, okay, well, obviously, like, we already kind of tapped on a whole lot of different things right there.
Oh my God, yes. So just to summarize, we talked about masturbation in the womb. We talked about the difference between shame and guilt. And then we wound over talking about pedophiles and what can you do about incest at home.
I didn't know we was going to talk about all of that today. But
which took us to transformative and restorative justice, which they're a little bit different. Transformative justice, as I understand it, is more about restoring communities, and restorative justice is more about restoring what has been taken from a particular victim. But, yeah.
So all this stuff, is this stuff that you assist with, or is it just more so relationship stuff? Or like,
I'm working on my second book, and my second book is called Love, Lust, and Romance in the Wake of Me Too. And I'm really wanting to take the conversation away from this polarized survivors and perpetrators, because I actually think all of us have done things to harm, and all of us have been harmed. So I'm really wanting to have an approach to perpetrations that focuses on the action, taking responsibility for it, and correcting the harm. And taking responsibility is about also getting help so that you don't do that anymore, so you're not that person anymore. Like, I used to have a really bad problem with road rage. And if you ask my ex-husband, my road rage was coming home with me. So it wasn't just on the road. And I ended up having to go into anger management training to change my ways. So it's not like we're just supposed to miraculously control ourselves. You have to get help, learn a new way to be a human being. And whether that's therapy or a self-help book or a support group or a 12-step group or your faith, you've got to hit it head on. You can't just say you're sorry and you're going to, and I'm not going to do it again. Because, yeah, you will. Not unless you actually take some concrete steps to change.
Girl, you must have because I say that all the time too, because I just, there's just a few things that kind of like, that I guess kind of annoys me to hear. And that's one of those things where people try to push the narrative as if you can't change your life. You can't change. I'm this way. I'm not going to change. Like, this is who I am, and with X, Y, and Z. I think it's more accurate to say, hey, I don't want to change. That would be more, I could appreciate that if people just be honest and be like, you know what, I just don't want to change. That makes more sense. Don't try to sit here and say you can't change, because you can't change. You know what I mean? Like I just told you guys, God just made in my life with this whole Bible study situation. I said for your years and months or whatever the case was, like, man, I need to do this more. I need to take time to do this more. And then what did I do? I decided to, you know what, I'm gonna finally do this thing. I'm gonna commit to this, right? And then next thing I know, I'm thinking I'm gonna do it for a week. I think I might do this for a month. It's been a year or so now. You know what I mean? Well, one, I feel like God can change your life. With Him, all things are possible. That's me and my belief. But at the same time, too, but you have that power too. I feel like you gave us all free will, but part of that is taking control over your mind, your thoughts, like the things you do. You can change, and then you might need help. You know what I'm saying? Like you might need to get some help, like you just said. There's different things that you can do to help you change. But I just don't like that narrative. People say it all the time.
I don't agree with it either. I actually think we are here to learn and grow and change. That's the whole reason to be here. And I don't ascribe to a particular faith, but my spirituality comes out of 12-step. So my experience of having a relationship with God as I understand God is exactly what you said, that all things are possible. So I've seen so many miracles. I've seen so many people come into the 12-step rooms down on their luck, suicidal, depressed, sick, out of a job, ready to go to jail, just as down as you could possibly imagine. And within, a year, their whole life turns around. I remember seeing an 80-year-old woman come into the rooms, and within 3 months, she was actually able to read. She couldn't even read when she got there. So, yeah, I do think it's important to have a spiritual path. I think it's really important because otherwise you are doing life on your own. And I don't think we're meant to do life on our own. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to rush you or anything like that, but I mean, I just want to make sure you say whatever it is that, well, obviously you was invited to say whatever you want to say, but if there was something when you logged in, or if there was something that when we reached out to each other and everything like that, and you were like, you know what, I want to say something on this platform of GSL, like what was that thing?
Thanks for asking that, Miracle. Here's what it is. I would love to share with your listeners, your viewers, that sex is God-given, and it's not something that separates you from your connection to God. It's not something separate from the divine. And a matter of fact, if you have a partner and you are choosing to make love with your partner, I would advise you to envision it as your Holy Trinity. And I don't mean any disrespect by this, but it's how I hold this. It's me, my beloved, and my higher power. That's how I go towards my sex. It's not out there by itself. It's not something I do when I'm not praying. My lovemaking is a form of prayer. Yeah. So it can be a very sacred path.
Listen, I'm trying to tell people.
Well, and in my experience, then, I mean, look, a lot of people just want to know what's in it for them. And I would just say, don't forget that when you are fully present, when all of you is there, when you're approaching sexuality holistically and spiritually, it's actually way, way better. It's way, way more pleasurable. It's way, way more satisfying and uplifting. And it can literally be of transformative energy in your life. So, darling, I took your advice and I just kept talking. Now we can see you, but we can't hear you.
Oh goodness.
Okay, now it's just you're really far away.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, you're there now.
But I was saying thank you for keep going and everything like that. And like I said, I apologize for these technical difficulties and all this stuff going on. I mean, but obviously you brought a powerful message today with everything you said, so I really appreciate it. Prayerfully, the next time we have you on, we're gonna have these issues. Maybe we'll just pre-record or something like that. I don't know, because they seem to go a little bit better than these live situations. But I do feel like it perhaps was just some type of distraction from the things that you were saying. But I mean, I think the message got out there. I will listen back to see the things you just said, because obviously I'm sure it was something that was profound.
Well, I don't know about that, but Miracle, I really enjoyed meeting you. I really enjoyed our time together. And yeah, I can feel a lot of energies coming in here trying to interfere with our time together, and it's really okay. I've kind of gotten used to it. So don't take it personally, okay?
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. Like I said, you're welcome back anytime. I would love to get a redo. We can do a redo of this.
Totally. I don't know that we need a redo, but we'll just I'd love to get together again and just see what comes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again. And I'm going to tune out for the people. Thank you all for tuning in that stuck it out with us. I hope you all enjoyed it. This is Miss Veronica Monet. You can check her out at the shamefreezone.com. And you guys know y'all can see me on godsexandlove.com and all these good places. Y'all know me already. But yeah, thank you all and good night. Bye-bye.
I'm sorry.
And so